So this is an illustration on how to achieve the upper part and the neckline of this dress. So for this particular dress, it's a built-up neckline dress. So I can't really tell the height of the neckline, but you should be within 1 inch to 2 inches, something that is not that high. But I can't really tell from the picture, so you have to like measure from the neckline of the person you're making the dress for. So here is the starting line. Here is the shoulder to bust, under bust, and waistline for the front. Now after this, you go ahead to mark your shoulder measurement divided by 2, and then you will come down by 1 inch. From this point, you need to mark out a basic neckline of 3 inches. So let's use here as 3 inches. Then go ahead to connect. The next step is to find your chest line, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Then you draw out a straight line here. Now measure back your shoulder divided by 2 and mark. We're going to add ½ inch to it, which will be for your sewing allowance, for your sleeve, to attach the sleeve much later. Now whatever you have here, divide it into 2 equal parts, come out by ½ inch, mark your bust measurement divided by 4. Then you're going to connect this to this point and to this point. The next step you're going to take is to mark your nipple to nipple line. That is your nipple to nipple divided by 2. Whatever you have, you mark. Then mark it from the bust to the under bust and waistline. Now from the midpoint of your armhole, this is a princess that's bust here. Then you're going to connect to your bust. Now what you do is, for someone with a smaller bust, you use ½ inch here. With a bigger bust, sorry, from the under bust, or your under bust tightening, for someone with a bigger bust, you use 1 inch. For someone with a smaller bust, you use ½ inch, right? Then for a bigger bust here, you will use 2 inches. For a smaller bust here, you'll be using 1.5. Then you repeat your measurements here, and then you connect here. Then connect from this point to this point and to this point. Now this is what I have. Go ahead to mark ½ inch on both sides. Then you blend it into your initial dart. Now this ½ inch you have on both sides, come out, that is ½ inch will give you 1 inch, and then you connect. Now then after connecting, you want to insert your measurement. Mark your bust measurement divided by 4. Pick this dart here, replace it, and add your sewing allowance. Mark your under bust measurement divided by 4. Pick this dart here, replace it, and add your sewing allowance. Now mark your waist measurement divided by 4. Pick this dart here, replace it, and add your sewing allowance. After that, you go ahead to connect. Now after you're done connecting, what you need to find is your chest line. Now to get your chest line is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front, let's take it to be 15, and the shoulder to waist at the back, let's take it to be 13. Now if you minus that 13 from the 15, that is the 13 for the back waistline from the 15, you will have 2 inches. You will now mark it and connect. So that is how to get your board part. Now what you're going to do is you're going to transfer all this measurement to this other side of your pattern before we'll now draw out the neckline. So after marking it, this is what you have. Now we're going to work on the neckline of this dress. Now if you notice, the neckline is a built-up neckline, sorry, and on one part the neckline extended more than the other one. So what I'll do is to maintain my basic neckline of 3 inches. Now depending on the height of the built-up neckline you're going for, you can use within 1 inch 2 inches for this. You go up and then I will connect. Now you notice this neckline is going towards this way. All I'll do is go ahead from that neckline, and you notice the neckline here is high. You see how it came from the back all the way to the front, so it's a bit high. So I'll just go up to where I want it to stop by this side. Now on this other side, mark your basic measurements or neckline of 3 inches and come out by 1 inch from there. Then you go up depending on the built-up neckline, 1 inch to 2 inches. Then you now blend it into your shoulder back. Now you now connect this. It's not that straight. It's not really that straight. So when you're connecting it, don't make it too straight, right? So you now connect. Now if you notice, there's this design forming from here to here, and there's a beaded effect. Now you can go ahead to attach another fabric from here. That is, after you must have you're done joining your dress, you go ahead to attach a fabric which will come from this place all the way to the lower part. Now you'll be beading this also. Then you're also going to do, you're first of all going to do that for this part of the neckline. Then you now place this to cover the other one on top, just like we have here. Then you place it to the end, right? So at first I was thinking the neckline was cut all the way down, but looking at this, you notice that it was, so sorry for the noise at the background of the video. So at first I thought the neckline extended down, but looking at this, you notice that it was just placed on top of it, right? It was placed, and then from this side you just tack it and leave this side. You're also going to bead that, so you're also going to bead this side of your neckline too. Now what you do is you can attach a fabric here and then bead on it, then attach another one coming all the way from here to the side. So you bead on it and then just stop stitch towards the neckline on this side, leaving this other side open. Now what I'll do is just to go ahead to cut this out. I'll just go ahead and I will cut this out, right? So when you're also cutting, remember to blend out your bust dart by the side of this pattern and then cut out the rest. So make sure that your neckline is high enough at this part so that it will give it that standing effect towards the neckline of the dress. So now let's work on the back pattern. Here is the zipper allowance. You can use 1.5 to 2 inches. Now I marked out a basic neckline of 3 inches. This is the shoulder divided by 2, and I found the chest line just like we did for the front, which is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Now here's the chest line, here's the bust, and here's the shoulder to waist for the back. Now after doing this, the next step we want to take is, remember we have like a built up neckline, but for the neckline of this dress, one is 3 inches and one is slightly 1 inch or 1.5 away from the basic neckline. So what you do is you use one pattern. After drafting the other one, then I'll now readjust it to suit the other one. Now the next step you want to take is to go ahead to mark your dart. You're going to mark your nipple to nipple divided by 2, then draw out a straight line. From the bust line, you come down by 1 inch, then mark ½ inch on both sides to connect. Then after you're done marking, mark your bust measurement divided by 4, add your sewing allowance. Now mark your waist measurement divided by 4, pick the dart into place and add, then connect. Then after you're done doing this, for the back neckline, so one has a basic neckline of 3 inches. So let's say you come up by 1.5 to 2 inches or 1 inch for the built up neckline and you connect. Now after you're done connecting, you just want to create a slight curve so that it will not be too high at the back. Now you come in by ½ inch at the waistline, then you extend it all the way up to take out the zipper bulge that you have. Then from here now, you're going to blend it into your pattern. So this is the neckline for one of the pattern. Then you go ahead to cut out. On the other side of this neckline, on the other side of this neckline, what I'll do is I'll add back a pattern paper there and I'll use my gum to hold it. So this is the neckline for the 3 inches. So we are going to extend this for the neckline of that of the 4 inches. So if you're not okay with the neckline, please go ahead to blend it out or adjust it before transferring this to your pattern, both for the front and the back. Now for that of the back neckline, our basic measurement is here. You can extend it out by 1 inch. Now if you use this 1 inch and you're not okay, you can add extra to it. Just go ahead to walk around the shoulder and use the neckline that best fits what you want to achieve. Then you now connect it. Now what I'll do is just to blend it into the neckline this way, and that is just that, and then you use it to cut out the other neckline. So you have to determine or measure where or ask your client where how high the neckline she wants for the dress. So this is the back pattern. Here's the illustration for the sleeve part of this dress. Simple illustration on the sleeve. So for the sleeve, is a two-in-one sleeve. You have like a basic sleeve there. The first thing you need to get is your shoulder to elbow point, and then your sleeve length for the one inside. Remember, whatever measurement you have, you add extra 1 inch to it, because you're going to be creating a channel for adding elastic. You notice that there's an elastic holding the bigger sleeve and the smaller sleeve. Now the first thing you need to mark is your bust side. Sorry, the first thing you need to mark here at the upper part is to get your sleeve cap height, and to get that is your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 0.5 inches. You mark. I'm trying to mark the armhole curve. Alright, so I don't know if you use this method or you use another method, but what we are trying to achieve here is the armhole curve. Then go ahead to measure your round armhole measurement. Now whatever measurement you have, I'm going to connect from here to here. Then from here to here, I'm going to divide it into two equal parts. Right? When I divide it into two equal parts, what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead to divide here again, mark, come up by ½ inch. From here to here, I will divide it again, mark, come down by ½ inch. Then I will now go ahead to connect it this way. Now at this point, I'll mark my elbow measurement. Measure your elbow, round your elbow. Whatever you get, you're going to add like your sewing allowance to it. Please, when you measure this part, make sure it matches with the armhole of the dress, right? Now you can go ahead to place your tape and measure this, then measure your armhole of the dress. Make sure that it matches. If it doesn't meet, probably this is shorter, you can extend it a bit to this point, right? Now the next step is you're going to mark your round sleeve. Measure around this place, then add your sewing allowance. Then you go ahead to connect. This is the first sleeve. This is the one that is inside the main sleeve. Now for the other one is an exaggerated sleeve. So remember to add like ½ inch on this part also. Now we keep this aside. Then what I'll do is I'll fold this. For this, you're going to measure, use something that is wide enough, depending on how bold you want the sleeve to be. Now for this particular sleeve, you're also going to mark your sleeve cap height, which is your bust circumference divided by 12 plus 0.5 inches, and I will mark. So let's just say that this is the line, right? So I'm using this other one as a guide. Then you notice that the sleeve did not get all the way into the armhole, right? So that is another thing you need to note. So let's go ahead to mark our sleeve. So since it's an exaggerated sleeve, like it's a big sleeve, right? I'm not going to like use my exact measurement, right, for the body of the sleeve, like your round elbow and your wrist. So what I will do now is I'll just go ahead to trace out this measurement I have here. I'll just use this as a guide to mark this out, to draw out the armhole curve. So after drawing this out now, you know is a bigger sleeve, right? So what I'll do now is from here I will now connect it all the way going down this way. Then I will cut it out. It has that type of like bob effect at the lower part. Now I will cut this out. And why I made here bigger is so that it will give more volume at the lower part of the dress. One thing you need to note is that this bigger sleeve, the length is more than this, right? You have to make it slightly longer than this, so that when you add the sleeve at the lower part, it's going to come up. Like when you put it inside it this way, and then you join it with the elastic part, it will give you that fold, that bulb underneath it this way, right? So now if you notice this sleeve, If you notice this sleeve did not get all the way into the armhole, now you want to place your tape and measure from the shoulder to where you want it to stop. So wherever it stops, another thing you need to put in mind is that for this sleeve there's pleats on it. Now what you will do is measure from the shoulder part to where you want that sleeve to stop. After measuring that, also have in mind that you're going to create extra pleats at this part. Then you can now add like extra measurements to what you have. Then after marking that extra measurement, you're going to cut out some part of this sleeve. Right? You're going to cut out some part of the sleeve this way. Then this part now, cut it out. Let me readjust it. I'm going to cut it out. So this is the part that will now show this other sleeve that is inside it. Now you find out that on top of here it has like this standing effect. So by the time you pleat it out, you pleat that extra measurement you added here, you pleat it and then iron here out very well so that it can stand. You can as well add like little interfacing at the upper part of the sleeve to enable it stand very well. So what you now do is to go ahead to attach this sleeve. But first, you go ahead to pick this now and attach it together this way, right? Remember where you're meant to stop for this other sleeve. Then you repeat the same thing for the back. The back did not get to the end also. I'll also pin it down. Or if you don't want to pin it together, you attach this first, then you attach this upper part first, then you attach the smaller sleeve. Then when you attach it, you now go ahead to attach the rest of this remaining part of the inner one to the armhole of the dress. Now after you're done attaching it to the armhole of the dress, you're going to stitch it up. You're going to stitch it up separately. Then you're going to take this one, place it inside this way, right? And you also stitch it separately. So let me just pin it outside so that it will be easier for me. When you pin it separately, now what you now do is you're going to now take this, right? You know the volume you have at this part is a bit bigger. You can go ahead to fold it a little. Then, and you know this one, the bigger sleeve is longer. We made it that way. So what you do now is you fold up this bigger sleeve to match up the smaller sleeve inside. When you fold it this way, right, you're now going to go ahead to, you can open up here a little, like open up here like 1 inch, open up the end of this smaller sleeve by 1 inch, just stitch it, leave 1 inch down, stitch it, leave 1 inch down, right? Then you now come and join it at the end, then pleat this to match this. When you pleat it to match this, you can now go ahead to fold it. You now go ahead to fold it in, creating the elastic casing for this sleeve. You now create the elastic casing, right? So from that part now that you did not stitch, from, remember this 1 inch we left here, sorry, this is a paper, so by the time you fold this to match this smaller one, right, and then you fold it in to create the elastic casing, right, then that 1 inch you left here, you use it to pass the elastic, then you now stitch it back. Then when you now stitch it, that excess, you know, this sleeve now is longer than the smaller sleeve. It will now come out at the lower part and create that bob effect underneath the sleeve. I don't know if you understand. This one now is longer than this one. So by the time you pleat the mouth, the hem of the sleeve together, right, and then create an elastic casing, right, now that excess you have, that length that is excess, will now come under and create that bulb under the sleeve.